What's poppin', beautiful people? Welcome back to the Mrs. Best Reviews channel. I am Mrs. Best. Thank you for being here. We are here to go over The Shy. This is season 8, episode 2, which was appropriately titled White Russian. I am a little bit late. I will get better next week. I promise y'all I will. I was in finals for school. I am a graduate student. So I had a lot to do, but we are back and I finally had time to watch this episode of The Shy and it was really, really good. If you enjoy the content that I do put out or enjoy the video at some point on your way in or out, we would appreciate it if you could like the video. I do thank you in advance. Also, a big shout out and welcome to all of our new subscribers. I do see y'all. Y'all matter. I really appreciate you. Small YouTubers, we see y'all. It matters. We do. Y'all help us to keep going. So I appreciate you. I welcome you in Thug Life. Thug Life. But y'all, let's get into The Shy. As always, tapped in with the links in the description of this video. There are links to other great creators such as Miss Kira Speaks, Shayna_MCD, and others who cover The Shy, as well as other great content. Always support others. But let's get into this episode, y'all. This episode starts where it left off. The season premiere ended with Jake pulling the gun that Victor told him to use in case Reg tried to force him way in the house. He pulls that gun and Reg is having a party in a hot tub with bitches and the camera comes up through the water and we are able to see what the result of that is. So essentially what ends up happening is Jake does not pull the trigger and pretty much Reg came at him with the "do you want to play a game" type of energy. And they end up playing Russian roulette, ergo where the episode is titled from. And through the Russian roulette, Red shoots himself, asks Jake to do the same thing. But Jake was unable to do it because Jake has a heart. He has empathy. He is emotionally regulated, unlike his dumb ass brother, Reg. Okay? Reg is that character that gets on my nerves. But at the same time, I love Reg because without Reg and Duda gone, I don't know how they would have kept this train chug-a-lugging. I really don't. But this fool Reg gonna look at Jake and be like, "At least I know you still love me." Which I'm like, Reg is the type of person who's like, he wants to do whatever he wants, regardless of how it impacts others. However, he does want to know that his family still loves him. And we have to think back to our day one Shy fans. If you remember seasons 1 to I think 3 or 4, Jake lived with Reg. Reg took care of Jake. Reg protected Jake from their crackhead ass mama. Reg tried to look out for his brother. The problem is the way he looked out for him was in a way that a lot of people who have fallen victim to the streets, and I say fallen victim because nobody just turns to that shit for fun. Okay, so let's not judge people. But he definitely gives someone who fell victim to the streets. So he loved his brother, but he also loved him with what worked for him in the streets, which was I think they're called the 63rd Street Mob or whatever. So Jake ends up walking out of there, which I was glad about. We then get to see Nuck threatening Bakari. Now, Nuck was smart to threaten Bakari because Bakari is the only person who knows about a couple of the people that Nuck has unalived. And Bakari has been slipping. Y'all know in the first review that I did of this season, I was saying I do not feel it's smart for Bakari to be giving Lene, who is his girlfriend, a play-by-play of what he got going on or really telling her any like pivotal or private information because 1, you put your girl at risk. And 2, if she's really not for you being in the life, what if she finds a way to tell somebody? You just never know. So Nuck is threatening Bakari. Bakari, Lord. Bakari, he is threatening him because he wants to make sure he ain't told nobody nothing about the people that he has unalived. And Bakari knew to tell him that he hasn't said anything because he really hasn't outside of saying stuff to Lene. But I'm just glad he didn't tell Nuck because Nuck claimed to care about Bakari, but we know that if Nuck had to, he would off Bakari. Nuck don't really care about nobody, in my opinion, except for Keisha and that baby. I don't even know if he cares about himself, honestly. But Victor and Rashad, they are still sitting their black behinds in the jail. And Patience is going to be not just the lawyer for Rashad, but she's also going to be, it sounds like, representing Victor. Rashad is interested in sleeping with Patience, talking to Victor, talking about, I can look, because you really can't sleep with your attorney. I believe that's like a conflict of interest with the bar. So Don't do that. But Rashad always ends up with women that are like really successful that he don't quite know what to do with or how to be with. But I do like Rashad's character because he a little dumb, but I like that his character still has empathy, if that makes sense. Like, he's not a bad person. He's just a product of his environment. And shout out to the viewer who commented helping me out with these people's names, because I thought Patience was Judge Bradley. And no, that is not who that is. So thank you to the subscriber. That's why I appreciate the people who comment, because y'all sometimes help me to understand or to catch stuff that I may have missed. So shout out to y'all. I love y'all for it. Now, we then see Emmett and Tiffany. They meet with Tiff's mom, who has concerns about Emmett and Tiff's son, EJ, as she should, because her daughter ain't shit. And Tiff's mom is finally expressing that she feels like they are not the best to care for EJ. Emmett has a full house full of kids. He got the kid that Keisha got. He got his 2 other kids from his other baby mamas. And then he got EJ. So I'm looking and I'm like, I forgot Emmett has all sorts of kids. Where is Emmett's daddy's other kids? We know Damien's in rehab, but are the other kids? Because y'all remember when we first met Emmett's dad and he had that damn headset and he had all them kids? Where the rest of them at? It can't just be Damien that they talking to. Like, where are the others? But they also never told us what Emmett's dad did with all of he had like a sister wife situation going on. Like, where did these women go? Like, what happened? I want to know. I'm an inquiring mind. But Emmett's son, EJ, has a learning disability. Tiffany cannot keep a man. The men that she chooses either die or put her or her son in situations. Tiffany's mother also feels like you haven't even had your son for a year, so he can't go from Emmett to you, which is true. And Emmett kind of agreed with this truth, because your son has not been with you in over a year. You just been running around having new babies and all of that stuff. Like, honestly, the best thing for EJ is Keisha or his grandmother. So the grandmother also lists her reasons for not wanting EJ with Emmett and Keisha, because Emmett's other son with the first baby mama done got caught up at the school with a gun, which she has a valid reason. Like, you don't know what's going on in your house. I know you can't always control what your kids are doing, but if one of them got a weapon in the house and you did not know, and the weapon actually came from Emmett, he thought he locked it up. Like, I'm sorry, you're not fit to have your child in the house. If your child can take a gun without your knowledge, first of all, why are you forgetting to lock up a weapon? What are we doing? But if your child could take your weapon without your knowledge, then honestly, you're not fit. And I know a lot of parents like to be like, my baby is fit, they're healthy, I have good intentions. That's not enough. You need to have good intentions and then let your actions show that too. Okay? Too many people out here having kids that should not. How do I know I'm the product of 2 people who shouldn't have never had no fucking kids? So I'm just saying, I get where where Tiff's mother is coming from, but she threatened to take Emmett and Tiff to court to get her grandson with her legally if they do not let him come with her without the paperwork, which I actually think is a fair advantage. The best thing you could do for a child if you are not in a space to raise them is to give them a stable place to be. That's not the system. That is the absolute best thing you could do. So I'm hoping they give the baby up. But Emmett, Keisha, Nuck, and Tiff, after meeting with Tiff's mom, they all meet up to discuss EJ, which I don't know how step-parenting situations work. Keisha, I understand her being there, because if y'all remember seasons ago after Keisha was kidnapped, she was helping EJ with homeschooling and studying and helping him to get it because he's always had the disability. And Emmett is his father. Tiff is his mother. Why the fuck is Nuck there? Nuck should be nowhere near the situation. And the fact that Nuck is with the life in the streets, like, this is all the more reason for that boy to go away, because I feel like Nuck's BS is going to come back to Emmett and Keisha in their household, and they just got too many kids to be dealing with that. But Tiff says that she feels like, she's like, I'm his mom, I want to speak. Oh, bitch, now you want to be his mom. Now you care to speak up. We ain't even seen a scene with Tiff like playing with the little boy for real or spending time with him. She just been figuring out who she can drop him off to, begging Emmett to watch him, begging Keisha to be okay with it, and she's running around sleeping with Rob, making babies. Alicia's dying. Like, I don't care how much you've been through. You chose to be a mom. You got to be one even while you're going through it, Tiff. So that's just how I felt about it. But I am glad that Tiff spoke up and decided that EJ should go with her mom, because even though her mom was not really there for her like that, something my mom used to always say, you could have the worst fucking parent for a parent. But some people really do redo it and do their big one with their grandkids. Kind of like a retry. So, you know, I don't see the issue. If my dad were to say to me and my husband, if we had a kid, I want your son to live with me. Sure. Don't ask me for no money, but you know, sure. So I can't understand it. I think that Tiff and Emmett are making the right choice. Let me know how you guys feel about EJ going with Tiff's mom for the remainder of the show. Like, do you think it will even be a major like thing in the show, or do we think it's just like, okay, we hardly see the boy anyway, and when he is, it's always Keisha doing something? So maybe they can go along with other plots and stuff now that he'll have a settled space to be. Now, after that, we see Patience meet with the woman. She is the attorney helping Shad, and she is meeting with the woman that Shad told her that he used to date and was fucking on at the time that Alicia was unalived. Now, Patience is able to convince this woman to tell the truth, but it looks like this woman was paid off. And the person who paid her off to lie on Rashad so that he did not have an alibi, because this lady could have Rashad and Trig out of jail. But it turns out it was Rosalind. Patience is a good attorney, okay? Patience is getting to the bottom of shit, and she ain't even got no dick from Shad yet. But she finds out that Rosalind Perry, aka Duda's wife that had the girlfriend that was deaf, played by Candy and all of that, she is the one who killed Rosalind. But now Patience knows, and it looks like she's going to be working to find ways to catch Rosalind. And if we remember from when Duda was alive, there were times that Rosalind didn't make the best choices, but if we remember how the dynamic of their relationship was, they had like an understanding in their marriage to where she could date who she dated and vice versa. But she only really seemed to pop up on Duda when he was on bullshit. She seemed more like a wife that would come and clean stuff up. So I'm curious to see how Patience is going to catch up with Rosalind. Keep Candy employed, y'all. I am here for it. Now, Keisha is considering homeschooling Emmett's son, the son that is the oldest son that got caught with the gun. I think that's a brilliant idea. The little boy got a black eye. He's having trouble at school. He's fighting with people. He's angry. One-on-one attention for kids like that is the best thing. If you know you live in a rougher neighborhood and your kid's going to have to go to school with kids that are rougher, especially after getting caught with a gun, he ain't got very many options. The best thing you can do is to homeschool him. Not every kid is going to grow and develop socially the way that you would want them to. So I think that is interesting of Keisha to want to do that, but I'm just looking at her like she's so involved with these kids and stuff. Like, when y'all gonna get married? When is that gonna be a thing? But we know it will come up later in the episode. Now we see Nuck meet with someone named Smitty, who we learn is somebody he used to run the streets with, grew up with in his past. So there's obviously someone that he can actually trust. They used to work to do it together as kids. And he asked Smitty to work for him, but Smitty says he's gone to jail. He is done with that life. He's trying to live his life correctly. Says he's done with the streets and he's going to think on it. Now, while that is happening, after their meet, we see Victor in jail and his ex, Fatima, comes by to visit him and is interested in reconnecting. Now, Fatima and Victor, I'd rather him be with her than the first person he was with when we first met Trig, when he was coming back into Jake's life. Like, not everybody needs a transition. I said what I said because that first one looked crazy. Fatima looked good though. Okay, Fatima looked good. However, because Fatima is a transgendered person, it's not the best look when they come visit you in the men's central jail. Okay, it's just not. And we're going to learn more about why later on throughout the episode, but it looks like Victor and Fatima are going to try and reconnect. I think that makes sense. We know that Victor was fucking with Tiffany a little bit, which is the whole reason why he ended up at that house with Shad. I know Shad called him to have him help and stuff, but Victor last season was fucking on Tiff. now he's getting back with Fatima, which does make sense because it seems like Tiff is going to get with Nuck, which tells me that Nuck might die at the end of the season because every man that Tiff is with that don't leave her dies. Emmett left her. That's why he living. But I think this is also something like no matter where you grow up, how you grow up. Like if I would have dated the men from my neighborhood, I probably would have been heartbroken 3 times over or visiting somebody for conjugal visits. So I definitely don't feel good things for Nuck based on him being with Tiff. But Victor and Fatima are thinking to reconnect, so we shall see. Now, Nuck's friend Smitty, who we met in a scene before, he is with her. They're just chilling at home, watching TV. They got lights, a place to live, and all of that. She's sitting there unhappy as hell. I don't know what the fuck she wanted in the middle of the week. Maybe she wanted to go out and shake her ass in the middle of the week, but if you have kids, that's usually what you do when you're at home on just the day you don't have nothing planned. You might sit at home and watch something, but she's sitting there just miserable as hell, very unhappy. And she tells him, I want to get back with my baby daddy. And I'm thinking in my head, then bitch, go be with him. I hate weak, fugazi ass bitches like her. Because why the hell are you going to say to your current that you wish you was with your ex? That's your ex for a reason, right? Like, but you want to get back with him because he has more money than this guy. And Smitty was like, I don't understand. I take care of you. We got the bills paid. And really, like I tell my husband all the time, he does a lot more for me. God bless Mr. Best. Shout out to him. But there was a time we were not the richest. I've been with my best since we were 16. So it's like, there was a time I really was just grateful that we had enough to pay the bills. I feel like more women need to be like that. The more women have all these requirements, I need him to have this and that and that. Do yourselves a favor and just ask that the man at least makes what you make, okay? The economy and life is getting too expensive for you bitches to be thinking that a man want to spend money on you when you just gonna go to the next one and ask that next one to try and spend money on you, okay? They are hip to y'all game now. They just are. But pretty much, Smitty's girl is not happy at all with him. And I'm thinking that her wanting to be with the baby daddy because he has money might be the thing that's going to encourage her to, or Smitty, to want to go and get money so that he could keep his woman. But that would make him a simp. Now, after that, Jake is having an event. Papa's helping him put it together and promo it and all of these good things. And side note, I kind of miss Maisha. I never thought I'd say that. Her character used to get on my nerves, but I kind of miss Maisha. Just thought I'd add that in there. Maybe she's with Kevin somewhere playing video games in California. But Jake has his event, and it looks like he's trying to get into like promo party. What do they call it? Promoting things like that in clubs and stuff. Reg crashes the event wanting to get let in because apparently it's probably the hottest thing in town. And you people in Chicago are sick in the head because ain't no motherfucking way in hell I am going to wait out in a big ass puff coat, some earmuffs, some scarves, some gloves in the snow to get into a club. I'm just not clubbing through the winter. It's too cold for that. It's way too cold for that. I don't even like waiting to get into the club here in the Bay Area on a beautiful springtime day. Absolutely not. But I also am old. I could just be too old to be wanting to wait to get into anywhere. But Reg comes into the event. Jake don't really want to let him in, but decides to let him in. I feel like Jake should have been like, Reg could come in, your people can't. Because they're not going to keep pulling fucking guns on me just because you told them to. Fuck them. But Jake is kind, so he lets his brother in. But then he notices that while in the club, his brother is in there basically selling dope. And so Jake was like, no. He cannot do that. So he goes up to Reg and tries to talk to him about it. Poor Jake. Jake just be trying to be reasonable. And Reg basically talks shit like it wasn't Jake's event. So they get into a squabble of sorts. But Reg, baby, you might want to start shit with your brother when you're not in his territory. See, you may be able to run shit at the house, but not in a club with security and all these people, Reginald. So Reg was carried out the club with all his homies, as they should have been. And I hope that Jake stops giving Reg shots, because you can love people, but some people you really do have to love from a distance. And I think that Reg is the example of that family member. You got to love from a distance. I got cousins and stuff I was super close to. They start going to jail and doing that crazy stuff. I love you from a distance, okay? You're not going to keep getting Global Tel links to get my $25 for texting. No. So I do understand that. Now, After Fatima visited Victor in jail, he got his ass whooped. Well, he almost got his ass whooped. We saw a bunch of men surround him. For whatever reason, they did not jump him. I thought they was like gonna like essay him or something, because they was like, we saw what came and visited you. I get that a transgendered person visited him, but you could have just said, like, we see that you're gay, because, or something like that. Like the what? That's what they don't like. They just want to be treated like people too. Okay, that's unnecessary, but it is realistic to some of the ignorance that people do deal with in the trans community. You know, you don't have to accept that a man who has chosen to live as a woman is an actual woman. Hell, the government don't. They still be having to check whatever they was born as. But, you know, they already have to deal with that with the, you know, what do they call it? The semantics of stuff. Like, leave it there, please. But they decided to try and whoop Victor's ass just for Victor to whoop on them. Because we have to remember, Trig was nothing to play with in the streets when they introduced his character. But while Victor is fighting for his life, quite literally, because Fatima done came to see him, Fatima is with her friend, telling her she visited Victor, and her friend is telling her that, are you sure that you want Victor back? Because I heard he was dating Tiff. And Fatima was confused because she's like, huh? Because Victor and Emmett are cool. And I'm like, men could be cool, but if a man is really done with a bitch, he don't care who dates her next. I feel like that's women who trip more on that. I feel like men don't be caring. That's just my personal opinion. Let me know if y'all feel differently, but that is my personal opinion. But yeah, she's going to figure that out. It looks like she's going to be looking into that. And it irritates me because Victor made it very clear he does not want to date anybody or you while he is in jail. So if you go looking into his situation with Tiff and then bring him bullshit, Fatima, he really ain't for you, because just let the man do his time in peace. Don't be bringing up no BS. But we will see what happens with that, it looks like, in later episodes. Now, Patience is making a lot of headway to get footage and evidence to prove Victor and Shad's innocence. I think that is important to note. There's not much there that I can discuss, but I am excited to see what Patience figures out. And we see a little scene with Tiff and her mom. I'm not going to go over it too much because we kind of talked about it earlier, but Tiffany's mom is coming to pick up EJ. And she's like, EJ, like, damn, you can't go get him, give him a hug, say goodbye properly. Like, he's not coming back to live with you. And it's crazy that Tiff has this big space and all this money, and her son's got to go with the grandmother because she can't raise two kids. Hell, she could barely raise one. I'm sure when the baby she had with Rob can walk, she gonna let that motherfucker walk to somebody else's house. Like, that's just what Tiff gives. I'm sorry. But I do love Tiff for the Shy because I like the friendship her and Keisha developed. I appreciate the amicable breakup between her and Emmett. And the scene with Tiff and her mom when she comes to pick up EJ shows that Tiff may have some type of hope. She tells her mom she felt alone as a kid and feels like that's the reason why she got pregnant early with Emmett, because she thought that having a baby would keep him around. It didn't. Just showed a little bit of like self-actualization from Tiff that is rare with her character on the show. So I was really happy to see Tiff express that, but go to therapy and figure it out, because in a couple of years, if you think of Tiff's, like if it were real life, like your kid's going to wonder why they had to go with grandma while its brother and other siblings were able to stay with their parents. Like, that's going to be weird. But, you know, God bless a fictional show, right? Now, Smitty decides to go back into the life because he done saw his girlfriend getting in an old-ass Cadillac with her ex. Now, if your ex having money means that he has a 2002 Cadillac coupe, they ain't got money. I'm going to need you to be in a 2026 Cadillac, bro. If you talk about this man got money, not that much if he riding around in that. Cadillac's a beautiful car, but how much you got if you in an old one? I'm just saying. And not an old one that's, you know, beautifully put together, fresh paint job or any of that. Just them old Cadillacs I see parked outside in West Oakland where I'm from. Like, Lord, the Hot Mess Express. Now, and no, I'm from Oakland, not actual West Oakland, because I know people going to be in the comments because of that Juice WRLD song, West Oakland, bitch. I shout out to them. I'm not from that part. I'm not from that part. But we do get to see that Smitty has gone back into the life, and they have decided to hire the OG with the braids, who was hella buff working for Reg and them back in the day in like seasons 1 to the earlier seasons. He's coming back. He's not really interested in working with Reg. He don't fuck with Reg like that no more, because Reg did do a lot of the mob dirty. Some of them is loyal, some of them are not. Reg was also gone for years and years and years, and then popped back up because we initially thought his character was dead. Now, I'm curious how that guy's security is going to work out, and I'm curious what Smitty's going to do, because every time the Shy introduces somebody who's going to be with the shit, they usually help the plot and are extra with the shits. So I'm not mad about that. I'm not mad about it. I do hope that Smitty's reasoning for getting back into the life is not because his bitch left him. Because if that bitch left you and you get back into the life and come up on cash and money, and then she tries to come back, dump that hoe, dump her in, what is it, Lake Michigan that they have up there? Lake Michigan, Lake Superior, dump her in a Great Lake, dump her somewhere. I hate people like that. And he would look stupid as fuck. He would look like a simp if he got back with a woman who left him for money when he said himself the bills is paid. What more do you want? If you want more, baby, get a job and contribute. I'm just saying. I don't pay very many bills. I feel like I am employed to help people, because I do enjoy helping people, and to help pay for vacations. Because can you imagine if I wasn't employed and I was like, oh, so best, take me here. Now take me here. Now take me there. Now buy me that. Now take me there. Like, you know, like we got to be realistic. But it looks like Smitty, Nuck, and OG security guard from back in the day is on a mission. And I think that mission is to get Reg's ass. Now, later on, we see Emmett and Keisha in the bed. They are considering marriage. Why? Because there's a social worker that is looking into them because their child had a gun. So, of course, child services is looking into them. They are okay for now. Their kid's going to be on like a probation and some stuff like that. But if he makes one mistake, and I mean just one, courts involved, kids going away to jail, and all of these crazy things. Emmett needs to stop yelling and talking at his son. And in my opinion, Emmett needs to reiterate, like, you see how this lady's saying that? We can't even help you out of this. So this is why you got to make better decisions. You can't just be fighting and stuff. Like, when I was younger, I was feisty myself too. And one of the things that helped me to become calmer and more self-regulated was when them cuffs got put on me. I said, oh, I got to get my shit together. I'm not built for jail. I'm scared of jail. I ain't got no shame. I am scared of jail. Absolutely not. So maybe this situation will help Emmett's son to do better. My husband made a comment, though, that was interesting, because they were talking and Emmett's like, I wanted to marry you. You think I'm going to ask again? You know, we don't deal with rejection well. And, you know, now Keisha is willing to marry him only for the social worker to protect the kids. It's like, I'm sure he respects her for loving his kids so much that she is willing to do that. However, you want to get married because you love each other and want to be together forever, not because a social worker and the circumstances in your business. Because being married doesn't, I work in social worker here. When I'm going and viewing like clients' homes and stuff, like, trust and believe. Half of them ain't married. If something's going on with their kids and stuff like that, I don't care if you're married or not. I just care if there's competent people around to help care for the kid and make sure they're okay. And that's what most of us are trained to do. So the fact that she's saying she want to get married for a social worker is crazy. But, you know, they also had Trigg and Shad arrested together and got them in the same cell, which they don't do. What do they call it? Co-defendants or co-conspirators, whatever it's called. They're not going to house them together. They'd be in a whole different housing unit. But I don't expect the writers of the Shad to understand the Cook County Jail. I just don't. Now, we get to see Patience meet with Judge Bradley, who is the wife of the professor that has been looking out for Bakari. And the judge wants to know who killed Alicia, because remember, Alicia and the judge were cool. But it looks like Patience is not quite wanting to tell her that. It looks like that's a little bit of a cliffhanger, unless y'all caught something different from me. But the fact that she's asking around and she's a judge, I think it is worthwhile. She's also connected to someone in the streets, which is Bakari. So I'm wondering if Judge Bradley is going to go to Bacardi or use her husband or something as a way to figure out what happened to Alicia, because it does connect. It does connect. Now, y'all, I ain't got much for you. The episode ends with Tiff and Nut getting busy. She got her coochie ate on the stairs, and then she bent it over and hopped on top. I'm not mad at her. Why did the episode end that way is what I was wondering. And I said to myself, I was telling my husband, I said, I hope this hoe on birth control, because you know Tiffany like to fuck on men that are in the streets and close to the upper room, okay? And so when I think that, I say, I hope you're on birth control, because the worst thing for her would be to give up the son she had with the man who was available, who she wanted an open marriage with, who ended up leaving her, to her having a baby with Rob, dying, keeping that baby, and then getting pregnant again. Like, please do not make Tiff's character pregnant again. But the episode ended with her and Nut getting busy to some nice R&B song that I liked. I don't know if I'll ever listen to that song the same, but they got busy. I'm not mad at it. I'm all for people getting their rocks off. I am not a cockblocker or a hater. But that was it for episode 2 of The Shy. If I had to rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 3, with 3 being the best thing ever, because we are B3ST, I would give this episode a 7.5. It definitely gave an episode that is helping to set up the rest of some of what we're going to see. But I was still entertained. Usually I'm bored through episodes like that, but I was still entertained. But I am happy and grateful. I want to thank everybody who did watch episode 1 of my Shy review for this season. I do appreciate you guys a lot. I was scared to cover this show. Scripted reviews is something new for me. So I appreciate all of y'all. I say thank you in red, flashing on the screen. You guys, I will have another review for The Shy up this Saturday since I am done with my finals week at school. I will also have a Nemesis review, the end of Nemesis, because I did finish all 8 episodes. So episodes 6 and 7 will be up, I think, tomorrow, y'all. I have so many shows and stuff going on that I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna tell the truth and shame the devil, because I have too much going on. If I look at my schedule, it says that the next Nemesis episode will be happening on Friday. So we'll have that. As for tomorrow, June the 4th, which is a Thursday, I will be live to go over Love and Hip Hop Miami at 4:45. The Valley review will be up around 2 p.m. But other than that, love and light to everybody. I appreciate y'all. Let's keep the conversation going in the comments. As you see, I respond even when we're no longer live. Thug life. And I will see y'all for the next review. Au revoir.